chapter number 1 of standard 7 NCERT syllabus, and subject is science. The name of the chapter is nutrition in plants. So this is our third lecture, and in first and second lecture we studied about, yes, you are right, autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. In the last lecture we studied in the end that heterotrophic nutrition is mainly divided into 4, that is, yes, parasitic nutrition, then insectivorous plants, then yes, saprotrophic nutrition and symbiotic nutrition. We had also seen some examples of it. Now, as I told you in the last lecture that we will discuss all this nutrition in detail in the next lecture. So let's start with the first heterotrophic nutrition, that is parasitic nutrition. Okay, so the organism which are having parasitic nutrition, okay, specifically plants, they are yellow in color generally. Why? Because as they are having heterotrophic, means they depend on others. That's why they are yellow in color, because they lack chlorophyll. We know that chlorophyll is a green colored pigment, right? So this type of plants generally are yellow in color and they lack chlorophyll, so they cannot make their own food by themselves by using sunlight. As chlorophyll is not present, sunlight they cannot use, and by using carbon dioxide and water they cannot make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Then how do they take food? So the answer is they depend on other plants, right? Here we are talking about plants, that's why I told you they are generally yellow in color. Then these plants, right, that is parasitic plants, they generally twinning around any plant, means they just twin around any plant. If any plant is there, then they climb on that plant and then they take the nourishment or nutrition from that particular plant, right? So this plant, the plant which is having parasitic nutrition, this plant is known as parasite, and the plant on which they climb is known as host. Okay, so the plant which is taking the parasitic nutrition is known as parasite, and the plant on which it climbs, right, to take all the nutrition from that plant is known as host plant, right? So here the example which we have learned in the previous lecture, that is, it is Cuscutta, right, and the another name of Cuscutta is Amarbill. Now what they generally do, they climb on the host plant, their roots penetrate, means go deep inside the stem of the host plant, and from the stem of the host plant, this plant, means parasite, Cuscutta, will take the nutrition, and by this process they get their nourishment, right? So this parasitic plants are depend on others for their nutrition, as they do not have chlorophyll, right? Now let's move towards the another type of heterotrophic nutrition, that is insectivorous plants. So here the name suggests insectivorous, means they depend on insect, they eat the insects, and they eat the insects and they get the nutrition from them. They eat the insect which sit on them to suck the nectar. We know that insects are taking the nourishment by sucking the nectar. I think you all know what is nectar, right? Nectar is a flower juice, right? So they sit on the insects sit on these plants, and when this insect sit, they take this insect or eat this insect and they digest them. So the example is pitcher plant, right? So this is the diagram of pitcher plant. Here it is a jug shaped pitcher is there, which is having digestive juice at the end of it. Now when insects sit here, right, to suck the nectar, what happens? This lid shut down, means this lid closes. We know that, okay, this is the modification of leaf of pitcher plant. So again, when the insects sit here to suck the nectar, this lid shuts down, means as lid shut down, the insect which is here fall in the pitcher. Now as you know that at the end of pitcher there is digestive juice, right? So this insect fall in this digestive juice. Now if insect is trying to escape, right, then they cannot escape because of tiny hair present on the walls of the pitcher. What is this tiny hair? Tiny hair are like this, means if the insect try to climb on this tiny hair, they do not allow the insect to climb, and the insect again slide and fell into the digestive juice. Now this digestive juice will digest the whole insect and they get the nourishment from insect. So now the question is, do pitcher plant also not have the chlorophyll? No, it's not like that. They have chlorophyll, okay, so they are known as partial parasite, means they are partially dependent. They are known as partial heterotrophs, right? They partially depend on others, on insects for their nourishment. Why partially? Because they can make their food by the process of photosynthesis as they have chlorophyll. But they do not take nitrogen because these plants generally grow in the place where there is a lack of nitrogen, right? So for nitrogen, these plants depend on insects. When they eat the insect, okay, they generally take the nitrogen from insects and then they can make their food. So this is about insectivorous plants. So now students, let's move towards the third type of heterotrophic nutrition, that is saprotrophic nutrition. So here sapro word means dead and decaying, and trophic means we know that nourishment, means the organism which depends on dead and decaying matter for their nourishment are known as saprotrophs, right? So here these organisms generally grow in the dark and damp places, means where the place is dirty, where the place is not having the sunlight, okay, in these places generally this type of organisms grow. They just take the nourishment or nutrients from these dirty places and they grow. You generally have seen that during rainy season, if the roti or bread at our home is kept undisturbed, then after some days, that is after 2 to 3 days, there is a black or green colored growth on bread or roti. So that is the fungus, or we can say fungi. Okay, so this fungi take the nourishment from the bread and it takes the nourishment by spoiling the bread. Now that bread we cannot eat, right? So this type of nourishment is saprotrophic nutrition, means this fungi is known as saprotroph, right? So generally this type of nutrients or this type of saprotrophs we can find especially in rainy season, right? They can be seen in pickles as well as on leathers also. The spores of fungus are generally found. Now what is the spores? Spores are nothing but the reproductive structures of fungus, means from the spores other fungus can grow, right? So the spores are found in air. Okay, the spores of fungi are found in air, right? They are already present in air. Now when they land on any wet surface, okay, wet and warm surface, then they start to germinate, start to grow. Means what? These spores are already found in air. Okay, when they get proper condition, that is the place must be warm and wet. From this place they take the nourishment, they take the nutrition and they start growing, they start germinating. So this is known as saprotrophic nutrition. The example is fungi. Another example of it is mushroom. You might have seen mushroom in your garden, right? Generally these mushrooms also grow at the dirty and damp places where there is no sunlight. It can grow on the rotted wood also, right? So this is also an example of saprotrophic nutrition. Right now next example or next type of heterotrophic nutrition is symbiotic nutrition. So here symbiotic means what? There is a relation between two organisms. Means here two organisms live with each other, okay, and they share something. One organism is giving something to the other and other organism in return gives something to the first organism. So this is the relation in which two organisms live together or with each other. They share shelter and nutrients, right? So some organism give shelter to the other while other organism give nutrients to the first one. For example, some type of fungi we have learned here, right? So some type of fungi, they generally live in the roots of any plants, right? So in the plant roots, what this fungus will do? Fungus will give some minerals or nutrients to the plants and plants in return give the food to fungus. As we know, plants can do photosynthesis and make this food. So this food can be given to fungus by plants, right? So this is one example of symbiotic nutrition. Another example of symbiotic nutrition is lichens. Lichens means a relationship between an alga and a fungus, right? So fungus, here we are writing the fungi. So what is the difference between these two? Fungi means it is plural, right? And fungus means it is singular. Means when one organism is there, then it is known as fungi, right? Fungus. So that is, and another is an alga, right? So alga means, you might have heard about algae, right? So algae is plural while alga is singular, right? So this is lichen is the association between two organisms, a fungus and an alga. We know that we generally see the alga on stagnant water, the green colored patch which we see on stagnant water, generally on in pond, right? So this alga, as we know, it is green colored, so they can make their food by photosynthesis, right? So what they do, they provide food to fungus, while fungus in return it will provide shelter, water and minerals to alga. So here both the organisms are having a mutual understanding, means one is giving something to the other while that organism is giving something to the first one, right? So they both live in contact, they both live together, and one will provide, here if we take example of lichens, alga will provide food as it can do photosynthesis, and fungus will provide shelter, water and minerals to alga. So this is all about the heterotrophic nutrition in plants. We studied about 4 types, that is first parasitic, second insectivorous plants, third saprotrophic nutrition, and fourth is symbiotic nutrition. Now the last topic of our chapter is replenishment of nutrients. Means what? We know that plants are taking the nutrition continuously from the soil. So one time the soil will do not have any nutrition. So how we can again add some nutrients to the soil? So there are ways by which we can add, okay? By nature it can be added as any animals or plants get dead. Means when any plants die, when any animal died, right, the nutrients of that animal or plant will be again mixed with the soil. As we know that when animals or plants die, okay, the organism which is present in the soil, they just decay them, destroy them, and they release the nutrients which are present in that animals or plants. The second is we can add some nutrients to the soil. That is, farmers are generally adding, or if we have garden at our home, we might have to add some nutrients into the soil. That is, we can add the nutrients as fertilizers or manures, right? So by this we are adding the nutrients into the soil. So like this, there will be a replenishment of nutrients in the soil, and this nutrients now available for plants to grow best, right? So students, this is all about chapter 1, that is nutrition in plants.
आभार।